What's up everyone, Max here and welcome to another episode of the GC Informer. There's been a lot of dramatic stuff happening over this past week, so we're going to dive into some of those stories right now. As you can probably imagine, the biggest thing I'm going to touch on this episode is loot boxes. Now first up is that EA says Star Wars Battlefront 2's loot boxes do not fall under gambling. They are not gambling. Now, this is in response to the Belgian Gaming Commission investigating whether or not loot crates available for purchase in Battlefront 2 and Overwatch count as gambling. Blizzard hasn't said anything in response specifically to this. However, in the past, Blizzard CEO Mike Morhaime has come out and said that Overwatch doesn't belong in this discussion because their loot boxes only offer up cosmetic items. I don't really think that that has anything to do with it. Whether you agree with that or not, I don't think that that should really affect if it falls under gambling laws. Yes, they're only cosmetic items, but the argument here, the thing that the Belgian Commission is investigating, is if loot boxes fall under gambling laws. The idea of a loot box, the idea that you're spending money to get a randomized item, not necessarily what that item is. Also, as you may remember, the ESRB, which isn't necessarily a government agency, but still an important name in the gaming industry, has come out and said that loot boxes don't constitute gambling. And the reasoning behind this is that there is always something that you'll get out of spending money on a loot box, whereas in gambling, real gambling, like in a casino, you're not guaranteed a reward. Now, to me, that just makes me think that you're right. It's not traditional gambling, but it's a different form of gambling that there need to be new rules designed around. I don't think that's that hard of a conclusion to come to, but everyone is still arguing about this, so maybe it is. Anyways, if the Belgian Gaming Commission comes out and says that loot boxes are a form of gambling, games will need to obtain a permit before being playable in Belgium because they'll be considered a game of chance. If this goes through, this is likely going to carry over into other countries, and companies like EA may have some issue pushing this many microtransactions and loot boxes into their games. Not that they aren't already having issues with Battlefront 2. Staying on topic with Battlefront 2, a bunch of people that hate EA have actually started a campaign to stop parents, aka uneducated gamers, from buying Star Wars Battlefront 2. A Redditor by the name of Michael Hawk is Big created a really detailed PSA to send out to parents, detailing to them why they shouldn't be buying this game for their kids. Basically, they're going past whatever the Belgian Gaming Commission decides and straight up saying that loot boxes are gambling and that Disney is promoting this gambling to kids. Now, it's important to note that Disney doesn't have anything to do with Star Wars Battlefront, so that part's wrong. It's EA doing this, but the mantra is still the same. In the PSA, he details what exactly loot crates are and how they can translate over to gambling and how they can be bad for children. You know, people are worried, myself included, that kids will be tricked into gambling addictions due to loot boxes and the way some companies handle this sort of stuff. That's a pretty valid worry in my opinion, you know? If kids don't know about other types of gaming, they see that this is the only way to progress in some types of games, kids are super impressionable, and having them spend a bunch of money on progressing in games can lead to worse and worse things. They'll fall into some bad habits and bet everything on chance. That's not a good thing. It's really kind of fucked up when you think about it. That's not to say that there aren't proper ways to go about loot boxes, but the way EA and Battlefront have gone about them is just an awful, awful idea, and it really, really sucks. And I hope that something gets done about this. I hope that parents don't end up buying Battlefront 2. I hope that the game fails miserably. People are finally starting to speak with their wallets, and that's just awesome to see. In other interesting news, the Vivendi buyout of Ubisoft has now been delayed for another 6 months. According to Game Informer, Vivendi released their third quarter financial results this week, and while they expected a profitable year's end, they don't really see themselves taking over Ubisoft for the next half. Right now, they own a 26% stake in Ubisoft, and due to a French accounting law, purchasing another 4% of the company means they need to decide whether they want to buy the whole thing out or back off. Ubisoft has been very against this takeover, and because of this, they've granted double voting rights to majority shareholders this month. A rep from Ubisoft says, Ubisoft takes note of Vivendi's statement. We will remain vigilant about their long-term intentions and will continue to pursue our strategy of growth and value creation in the interest of all of our shareholders. It's nice to see that Ubisoft will stay Ubisoft for now. This is a story that we'll definitely need to follow up on later on next year. And last but not least for today's news, we have a couple of DLC updates. First off, Overwatch's new character Moira Moira, is now available to play. She is a DPS support character, and she was the one announced at BlizzCon a few weeks ago. She's technically released for all systems, but it's coming out in a rolling update, so some PS4 and Xbox One users may not get her right away. Alongside this is some Shadow of War free content updates coming soon. These are starting out next Tuesday and will go through mid-December. Tuesday we'll be getting Endless Siege, which has you defending your fortresses against Sauron's forces as the Dark Lord tries to reclaim Mordor in the Endless Siege. Alongside this is an enhanced photo mode that will allow you to apply new filters, frames, and textures to all the photos that you take. And then on December 5th, you'll be able to challenge another player's orc follower. This is a mode called Overlord versus Overlord, and it's going to take place in the online fight pits. Basically, it's a fight to the death in an arena, and if you win, you get a bunch of powerful rewards and upgrades. And then on December 12th, there will be a brutal difficulty introduced, which doesn't allow for any last chances. WB said there will be more free content updates coming out at later times. Anyways, those who have bought the expansion pass will be getting content starting on November 21st, with the second part of the pass coming out on December 12th. So lots of new content for people who are still playing Shadow of War. Anyways, folks, that's about it for today's episode of the GC Informer. As always, hope you guys enjoyed, and don't forget to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Lots of interesting news topics talked about today. Always love to see what you guys have to say on everything. Thanks again for watching, hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see y'all soon.